Hello everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making a punny card. Yes, punny, which is also funny. But let's talk about what we're using. We've got our alphabet soup die set. This is fabulous. It's got those cute little pieces to make any kind of soup you can just about think of, as well as an alphabet soup. You have a fork and a spoon, which actually matches really well with our circle-shaped card die set. We're not actually going to be making a circle-shaped card, but just so that you're aware that this is what it is, and it can also make a donut. And then we're going to pair this up with another alphabet. This is the graham cracker alphabet die, so we're going to use both the little alphabet and this graham cracker alphabet because they're both kind of small, but I do like that the graham cracker is a little bit bigger, so they go really well together. And then I did need another element, so I searched through all of my dies, and I found this one. That's the You Donut Scare Me, which goes with the circle die card set to make little Halloween dies, but I just needed that little die because we're going to be making some beans. And then I'm also going to bring in the stencils. Those are the checkered background and then the checkered background add-on striped squares. All right, so let's get started on that background. I do have a piece of like a red, it's like a, I don't know, darker red cardstock. And this measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, so that's the full front of an A2 size card. We're going to bring in our checkered background stencil first. I've put this on top of a grip mat, and then I'm just going to push the sides down so that way it'll stay put. And I've brought in some aged mahogany distress ink along with my blending buddy, and I'm not pressing real hard. I just want some of that color because this is just going to be the background, and it's not the focus of the card, but I did want a little something going on back there. If I had pressed down a whole lot harder, I could have gotten a whole lot deeper color. And then I'm just switching because I want this to be a checkerboard, lining that up. You can tell when you're putting it down so that you get that checkerboard pattern. And then I just need to kind of move this around a little bit more to make sure I hit all those places. Using my fingers, getting them dirty, but the grip mat does a pretty good job. So there you go, we've got our checkered background. Then I'm going to bring in the add-on striped squares, and we're going to put those in between the the checkerboard that we've already done. Just trying to make sure I can get the most coverage here. So once I put that down, I'll push it down on top of the grip mat once again, just on those sides. Didn't do as well as I could have, but I did put it down. And then once again, blending that color, the aged mahogany on there. And I'm not going real heavy-handed. Again, it's just a background that I wanted there to be something going on, just not real heavy-handed. And I think that looks pretty good. But I don't stop there. I do want to do a little splatter because I love splatter for starters. And also, if there's any sort of issues on the background, like I messed up somewhere, splatter does a pretty good job of covering that, or at least it diverts your eye from it. So I'm using some gold paint. Any opaque gold paint will do. And then there is my background. We'll set that off to the side to dry, and we're going to move on to doing a little bit more. So I've cut out my soup. That is the center, or that smallest circle, and I did that out of like a rusty orange color cardstock that I had in my stash, and I'm bringing in some rusty hinge, and I'm actually just pouncing that color on the background. I want it to give it a little bit of texture. That will dry back some, but you'll still be able to see the texture. Maybe not as well on camera, but in real life it does look pretty good. So I wanted this to have more of a chunky textured background. So again, that was the smaller circle I die cut that out of. That bigger circle will cut out our bowl. But I did use some of the other pieces in here. I cut out my spoon. I've got some cilantro. I also have some cheese, and these are my kidney beans that I cut out from that You Donut Scare Me. So go through your dies, see what you got. You might just have exactly what you're needing, and I did. So I was pretty excited about that. I'm going to put all those little kidney beans down on to my grip mat, and then I'll use that same aged mahogany just to add a little bit of texture to the beans so they're not so flat. Yeah, just adding it just to the edges, kind of one edge in particular, and we're going to get all those taken care of, and then we'll pull that off and clean up our mess, and then we'll do this to the spoon as well. Now, thinking about this, and I'm using pumice stone here, thinking about this, I probably should have done the color more on the actual spoon itself rather than the inside part of the spoon, because I think the inside part of the spoon would probably be a little bit lighter, but here we are. I think it works. So there you go. We've got our pieces ready. We've got our bowl. And you can't really see it a whole lot on camera, but there is some texture to that bowl. I love that the die has that texture to it. Again, you can see it in real life, but we're going to start assembling our chili bowl. I'll put my chili down, and then I'm going to use some reverse tweezers for all of our beans, and we'll put those down as well. And there's no rhyme or reason to how I'm putting those down. I'm just kind of sticking them down. Originally, it seemed like I was going with sort of a pattern. At least that's what it looked like to me. And towards the end, I was like, some of these beans would probably be overlapping, so I need to make it look more random is, I guess, what I was going for. And it's funny, the cheese that I have off to the side, again, that one comes from the alphabet soup die. You could make that noodles, just about anything you could think of that would be in soup. That would be kind of fun. But the cheese, now, if I were making my own chili, I can tell you I would have a whole heck of a lot more cheese than what I have die cut out. And so I'm using my pickup stick along with the liquid glue. And I'm not real worried about that liquid glue showing. It's going to dry back and it'll be matte finish, so you won't be able to really see it. Obviously, you can see it here on camera, but once it dries, you can't tell. But again, yeah, if I were putting cheese in my chili, it would be a handful and there'd be a lot. And I know people do their chili different. We had a chili cook-off at my husband's office, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And of course, he told me the day before. So I went and grabbed all the stuff to make my chili. And what we do in our chili is I use cheese. Sometimes we use crackers. I'm gluten intolerant, so I don't put crackers in mine anymore. But yeah, sometimes we do the crackers. But I'm also from the Midwest. And I don't know if you know this, but in Nebraska, when you eat your chili, you also have a bit of cinnamon roll with it. Now, you don't stick your cinnamon roll in it, but even in school, I just thought everybody did this. When they would serve us chili, they always served a cinnamon roll with it. Now, I'm putting cilantro in my chili as well. And that's not typically what I would do if I were making chili. This would be more like a taco soup that I'd put the cilantro in, but I thought this seemed fun and it added a bit of color. All right, so now we're going to trim down that background now that it's dry. I'm going to trim this down to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 because my card base is white and I want that to kind of show. I'm bringing out that graham cracker alphabet die. As you can tell, I have not cut that apart. I just don't do that. And I keep all the extra alphabet pieces. Those are great to have because if you want to, make other words, or if you want to add it to shakers, I think that could be a lot of fun to add those to shakers. I haven't quite done that yet, but clearly I'm saving those alphabets. And maybe that's what I'm doing it for. I don't know. And the same thing with the little bit, or this tiny little alphabet. Now, obviously, you can't cut those apart, but keep those extra pieces. Those would be really great for little shaker bits. And as you saw from the beginning, my sentiment is been there, done that. So I had to cut this out 3 times, and I'm just getting out the letters that I need for it. And I just went online and I looked up chili puns. And this one came up and I loved it because I was like, that's a perfect sentiment you could send to somebody if like maybe they're having a bad day, like, yeah, been there, done that. Like, I feel ya. And so I thought that would be a super fun sentiment to put on there. So the beautiful thing about these alphabets is that you can obviously put any sentiment that you want. And these ones in particular are small. So you could go ham and just come up with any sentiment you really wanted. Now, to placement, as far as putting those on the card, I don't have anything down except for the word there. I didn't put bean down. I didn't put the actual chili bowl down yet. I just put those there as placement because I was trying to center up the there and done and that underneath that. Obviously, it's not perfect. They're a little bit wonky and I'm okay with that. And I've put my glue on my glass mat and I'm just picking up with my reverse tweezers and putting those down on there, trying to center that up as best I can. And then once the letters are all on there, the small ones, then I can put down the word bean and the word, or the chili bowl. I just thought it was a super fun sentiment. So, if you're stuck, you're kind of needing something else, go head to the internet. Head to the internet. Look up different puns you can come up with. You might be really surprised and it might be really fun. And then you can even customize it a little bit more to maybe your recipient. You can even put their name on there. So I love that. All right, now we'll clean up our mess a little bit, and then we're going to put our chili bowl down. I am having that come off the edge of the paper, but I'm going to cut that down. That just gives the illusion that there's more going on outside of the card. I love doing that. Let's put our spoon down also. If you wanted, you could use some foam squares or foam tape behind these if you wanted to add a little bit more dimension. I decided to keep this fairly flat. And then we'll trim down the excess of our bowl using our guillotine trimmer. And then we can use our liquid glue to adhere this down to the front of our white card base. I love it. It makes the wording also pop, having the white card base. So there it is. I love how this card turned out. Super fun. I hope you like it too. If you do, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Trinity Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.